What is the White House position on that section of the 9/11 report that has been classified that may or may not shed some light on this issue?
Well, John, I can tell you that the administration, in response to a specific congressional request, last year asked the intelligence community to conduct a classification review of that material. And we did so in keeping with the standard procedure for determining whether or not it's appropriate to release classified material. And all I can tell you is that process is ongoing.
It seemed to pop up within seconds after the second tower fell on September the 11th. Those who aided and abetted the single greatest terror attack on American soil were not necessarily hated enemies, but those we were calling friends and allies. And despite the fact it has been denied over and over again, the specter remains. Was Saudi Arabia at the core of these attacks? There remains evidence the American people and the world have yet to see. And our next guest is demanding these secrets come to light. Welcome to MidPoint, the Republican representative for North Carolina's 3rd Congressional District, Walter Jones. Congressman, thank you so much for being here.
Well, yeah, thank you. This is a very important issue to the 9/11 families and the American people. Thank you for this opportunity.
This has been about a month now since you and Representative Stephen Lynch, a Democrat from Massachusetts, announced your resolution. So from the time you announced it until we stand here today, has anything changed? Has anything happened?
Ed, this is the 2nd Congress. We're now in the 114th Congress. Stephen Lynch and I and Thomas Massey introduced the same resolution in the 113th Congress. We're now in the 114th, and it's the same language. We're asking the President of the United States to declassify this at 28 pages. It was classified when the report came out. George Bush's administration read the report before it became public and said we must classify these 28 pages. I have read them. Everybody that I know has read them. Stephen Lynch, Thomas Massey agrees with me. There is no national security interest at stake. This is simply to educate the American people, and I would tell you that it deals with relationships with foreign countries and how they might have played into this attack on 9/11. I can't go much further than that. I think it would be an embarrassment to the Bush administration, and that's why they wanted to classify the 28 pages. But if we're going to give the families who lost so much on 9/11 a little bit of peace, then we must declassify this information.
Congressman, I am not going to assume, because I think we all know what the word assume means. We've all been told that as children and as adults. But if you've had a chance to read these 28 pages, I realize there are things that you cannot say out loud, but if you've read them and you're still pushing, it would certainly make the American people think that there is a smoking gun there and somebody's hiding it.
Ed, I would agree with that statement because to me, this country's strength is the fact that the people can trust their government. When we had such a tragedy as 9/11, and you've got people like Senator Graham, who was a co-chairman, you've got Richard Shelby, who's still in the Senate, a co-chairman, calling that this information be declassified. And Ed, let me tell you, Newt Gingrich came out yesterday or day before and tweeted to approximately 1.5 million people that are on his account and said he believes this should be declassified. There is no reason, and maybe you're right with your comment about somebody just doesn't want this to come out. But the president twice, Ed, has told the 9/11 families in the last 6 years that he will declassify this information. And real quickly, Stephen Lynch and I wrote the president in April of 2014 asking that he keep his promise to the people, and we're still waiting for an answer. And I did hear the preliminary before I came on that the White House, and that's what they've told us, they are trying to review to see if they should make a recommendation to the president to declassify.
Okay, trying to review sure sounds like a stall tactic.
Well, there shouldn't be, and that's why we're going to continue to beat this drum. And if I could give a telephone number, if the people listening to your show or watching your show want to call the switchboard to ask for their member of Congress to join us in H Resolution 14, if they call the switchboard, Ed, it's 202-224-3121. And Ed, there's a website that's got great information called 28pages.org that they can go on.
Let me ask this, because when 9/11 happened, we were inundated with people who came up with conspiracy theories, truthers who said that the U.S. government was involved. This was a government plan. We did this in order to get us into war. And you know full well that when people hear this and these pages are coming out, they're going to say, wait a minute, this is going to prove once and for all that the American government was involved and that there's something here that they don't want us to know about our own government. What do you say to those people who say they're sure that this is what's going to prove?
Ed, I think it's important that the American people, no matter how they might feel, have an opportunity to see the relationship and then make their own judgment.
Is there any doubt in your mind that if indeed, when this information goes public, that it will change relationships between America and Saudi Arabia?
Well, I'll say this. I think our foreign policy under Bush and Obama have been failed policies to begin with. I will say that hopefully this will help our government have a stronger foreign policy than we've had in the past.
Do you think it will force the Saudis, or somebody else for that matter, to get angry with us and stop relations with the United States simply because this is now going to come out?
I do not. Initially, now it hasn't happened lately, but initially when this report was made public and the Bush administration said they wanted to classify 28 pages, the Saudi government at that time said they thought they should be declassified, but that might have been a ruse too. I don't know.
There seems to be no doubt in your mind that there is so much here when it comes down to what happened at 9/11 that the American people don't know. Do you think that this is really going to make a difference now? Because here we are sitting in 2015, that it's going to change anything 14 years later?
I'm from North Carolina, as you know. I didn't have any of my constituents involved in 9/11 tragedy. But I have been part of 3 news conferences. The last one with Senator Bob Graham, Stephen Lynch, and Thomas Massey and the families. Every of the 3 news conferences, we've had family members there. And to hear their story and to hear their pain, if for no other reason, it ought to be declassified because of what they've suffered. And it will help the American people understand the world we live in.
I only got about 15 seconds left. Do you think the president will actually do something before he leaves office, or is this going to linger?
Well, we're going to stay on top of it. I've been trying to get up with Rand Paul and some Democratic senators to see if they won't drop the same resolution in the Senate that we have in the House.
What is that website again, Congressman?
The website is 28pages.org. O-R-G.
28pages.org. We invite you to look there. And again, the congressman knows what's in those 28 pages, and he is waiting to hear more from the White House on redacting those 28 pages and getting those public to the American people. Congressman Jones, we're going to stay up with you on this, and we're going to follow it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate the opportunity. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Take care. One statement that needs to be made over and over again in the fight against Obamacare. Don't be scared to say it out loud. We will, right after the break.